All right. It is 5 o'clock. And I will call this meeting of the parks to order on Tuesday, October 14th. Um, we're going to recognize attendees, and when you say your name, you will be confirming the statement of FOI in compliance as well with your name. So we'll knock two birds out with one stone. We'll start down here with my left.
Jeff Hammond, yes. Suppose, yes. Steve Brown, yes.
Right back.
And I'm Judd Harkness. Yes. All right. Thank you all for doing that. We'll move next to Chair. If you had a chance to look at the minutes with, there are no corrections, you want to entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, second.
All right. All in favor, accept the minutes, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. The only item on the agenda is the 26 pricing sheet. And if you have that, you can see the changes are marked in red and some deletions as well. All of the pricing is roughly $5 increase. So you can see what that is and what some of those are. And the pricing is not specific to like Auburn spring youth softball, but it's just one line and that one line. So you can see some of those event increases. If is there any questions regarding any of that?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the 2026 pricing sheet, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next item on the agenda is other. Does anyone wish to come before the parks and bring up an item?
Chairman, I do
Is
have a comment on, recently I had a citizen reach out to me with a complaint request, needing a little help in hoping to get his membership at the River Center. And I was just playing middleman there and got connected with Stephanie. I wanted to commend her on the way she handled that situation very professionally and since she was happy and she did a great job.
Thank you. I'm sure that that's the way all our staff is, but talking about professional, we do have the Parks Director of the Year, Professional Director of the Year sitting to my right as well. Stephanie, congratulations on that. That's a statewide recognition, so we do appreciate the job you do and your staff as well. Any other items that would like to be brought up before the meeting? Seeing none, I'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's now 5:05, and I don't believe I can meet 3 digits. I'll call the Streets and Drainage Committee, meeting to order at, 5:05 on October 14th. We'll start with the recognition of attendees. I'll start by far right with Mr. Baptist, and I'll also include the affirmative of the statement of FOI compliance.
Frank Baptist, yes. Steve Brown, yes.
And Spencer Cole, yes. Evelyn Reed, yes.
Tom Farley.
John Ritchie,
Judd Hart, yes.
Trevor Blind, yes.
Jeff Ham, yes. Moving right along, we'll move to item number 4, the approval of the minutes. from
So
the
moved.
Second,
September 15th meeting. We had a motion and a second.
Yes.
Any discussion? Motion to approve, which has been done. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 5, resolution that will be coming up. The low acceptance bid for the Redstone construction of the phase 1 of the Southwest Trail, which will go from the bridge to the railroad overpass. And entails $44,173, which is on site. We'll be asking for that approval at the council meeting in 2 weeks. Any discussion?
That just a gravel connector or is it a paved? It's gonna be.
Question, just to make sure I'm reading this right, it's got 44,713 on one line and 44,073. And then, Don, we didn't get any bids for things at the bottom. Just those 3.
Any discussion? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item. is the Southwest Trail Segment 5B land donation. Correct. The city is donating a parcel of land to the county so that this project be completed. And upon approval, completion, it will go back to city council. And it will get back. And it's, why it has to be done that way, I don't know.
Mr. Ham, this had to be done that way because the county was supposed to purchase all the right of ways for the Southwest Trail. And even though we're gonna build the Southwest Trail, we have to donate it to the county. And then once we build it, they're gonna turn around and give it back to us so that we can maintain it. Legally, that's what we were told we had to do because it was being pretty hard.
Thank you very much for that
This is only,
explanation.
this is 0.35 of an acre, is that correct?
Any questions? Any further questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion been made, seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to the low bid. Cross Street Phase 3, which deals with drainage. And it entails $611,000, $377.50, which is in town. It's city's expense. So we have the money. So that work can, take place as soon as start the year. Anybody have any questions?
John, on the, what kind of drain, what it was doing actually on those?
This is Broad Street Phase 3. It's continuation of what we started at Phase 1 down at Olive Street, working our way up through that street that runs up towards the town. Right.
So it'll pick up. It's a little weird because phase 3 is gonna be done before phase 2, because we ended up getting some funding for phase 2. So it has to go through some checks and balances through RDOT. The phase 3 can be constructed because phase 1 runs through the backyards and then it terminates at an area inlet. And then this is going to pick up from that last inlet that we did, and it'll keep running through the backyards and go through the intersection of Conway and Shore and add a bunch of different inlets there, a bunch of recessed inlets. A lot of the videos that we had from the drainage we saw was popping the curve there, running down the hill by the courthouse, coming there and popping the curve. So we added about 7 or 8 inlets in there, and then it gives us junction boxes to tie into the later phases. But this essentially will finish everything through the backyard to capture all that flow that people are experiencing and the flooding in the backyard. And then phase 2, that'll be sometime next year, will go along the cross street itself, and then it'll have pipes that run into the backyards and tie into these vaults, so it'll all be in one contained system. I want to say the construction time itself is about 4 to 5 months, depending on materials. The contractor that was selected, they do a lot of their own concrete works. We don't have to worry about waiting on precast materials or anything like that. That being said, upon completion of, if it's accepted tonight, we'll issue them a notice of award. They'll have to work on their bonds and insurance and pre-con. So we're still looking at a month or two, probably before they start, and then expected, somewhere around 4 months for the actual construction.
How many other companies bid on this project?
We had a lot of us. We had 7 bids. It's the most I've seen in a long time. So a lot of people are anxious for it. Especially, I think a lot of them know that another one's coming down the pipeline too. So kind of want some of them wanted to get out here and already be mobilized in the area when that next one comes through. So we're hoping that whenever that comes through, we get a good bid on that as well.
Any other questions?
I'm hoping they can start, towards the end of this year, but it'll just be dependent on how quick they can get their bonds and insurance. Because what'll happen is, we'll issue the notice of award that's approved tonight. They'll sign and send it back, and that gives them notice to actually proceed with the bonds, which protects the city in case. That usually takes about a month, just for them to get all that issued, get all the signatures, get everything signed. We can schedule pre-con shortly after. So I say towards the end of this year to be conservative. If everything is smooth, we could probably start in the middle of it.
Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item, project updates. So what sheets in the back?
We'll start with Taylor. Public updates first.
I'm gonna go ahead, I'll go ahead and finish out Broad Street before I jump back to Congo. You know, I briefly talked about, phase 2 and 3. We do have a new task order that we've developed, that'll be phase 4. And it'll continue from the intersection of Conway and Short up to the courthouse and go north from there, trying to capture more water to prevent it from getting that far downhill. I know that there was issues at the courthouse about the flooding. And there was, recent discussions about rates, and we provided some stuff based on what Mayor Farmer just discussed with McClellan. So I'm having Dan and Byron review that before sending it out to you. But that's phase 4. Originally, we were gonna go around the courthouse, but the more we looked at it, we thought it'd be better to go upstream from the courthouse and try to capture all that water. Because basically the stoplot's the high point and everything drains down to downtown from there. So the better idea is to go up there and try to capture that water, get it underneath the ground in the pipes. And before it gets down to downtown, and everything that we're doing in phase 2 and 3 is already sized to accommodate this, so that you don't have to worry about anything. But it'll accommodate those storms as you design. As far as the Congo and Shenandoah roundabout, we're still waiting on that last property, which is the Circle K property. Once we get that, we can request authority to advertise. I know we're wrapping up on that, so I've started reaching out to Metro Plan, make sure funding is in place, looking to make sure we're updating our cost estimate, seeing what it would take to get some construction observation and working with them. I think we're gonna try to request some additional funds on behalf of the city in case there's any cost overruns, because I know it's been a couple of years since it was awarded. So we're updating all our numbers so that we can give a concrete number to Metro Plan. And I've been working with them. They seem to think, let's put it in the next call for projects if it's approved here, just to help with the city pay for that construction as it comes to it.
It's down in Circle K. That's what we're waiting on. That's what's been holding us up for the last 3 or 4 months, is it?
So Thelma Street, we've got a few drainage jobs that we've had in the works that we'd like to get on the shelves in case any grant funding becomes available. Thelma Street's one of them. We're wrapping that up, should have that stamped by the end of the year, and then when any grants come up related to drainage expenses, we'll be, have those plans ready to go, and 2 more points on your application whenever you do those. For Congo Road widening, this is gonna run between the roundabout at Shenandoah and the roundabout at Long Hills. We had applied last year on behalf of the city for design funds to Metro Plan, and they had awarded 400 grand in design funds. It's an 80-20 match. I reached out, I think it was last week, and they mentioned that it's still on their list of work order to be completed, but it is in their queue, so hopefully we hear something on that soon. And then it's kind of same thing with North Shore. They awarded 440 grand in design fees. That's also an 80-20 match. And that's one that it'll be further behind than Congo Road widening. So it'll be a few months down the road. But those were kind of the 2 main thoroughfares that we we're trying to upgrade due to the amount of traffic on these roads and the growth that obviously the city's seeing, especially along North Shore. So we're trying to get a plan in place on the front end. Pacific Cove, that was one. It's another drainage job that we've kind of been working on. It's kind of on hold right now, just shifting the priority to some of these other projects that they take priority. So we want to make sure that the funds are available to accomplish those before proceeding with some of the other ones. And then North Street, the way we did Congo Road and North Shore, those we applied for Metro Plan grants as the higher traffic routes. They serve a large number of the population. They're better candidates for those. North Street's kind of the next one on our plan, but that's a few years down the road. What you see here is plans to get that to 30%. But we're going to try to get more progress on Congo Road widening and North Shore before actually submitting North Street. That way, you're not putting yourself as a requirement to get all these roads done in a amount of time. We want to get these to 30%. And then whenever we feel that the money can be earmarked, we can go back and visit North Street later, which actually, like I said, there's the air lane Drive survey and right of way acquisition down there. That's along Air Lane to help with, trying to upgrade that facility out to the archery range, riding the trail. That'll be coming through there. If I remember, there's, I think, one property left. We had to get one or two. Other than that, you can kind of see some of the closed out projects that we have on the next sheet. This encompasses the last couple of years. Or most recently, about a month or two ago, we wrapped up South Shoreline. I don't know if any of y'all seen that out there, but it turned out really well. We were able to upgrade all the drainage structures out there, and it accommodates a much larger storm than it originally did. And then as far as kind of the upcoming projects, back in April, there was a resolution that was approved to apply for TAP funding, for street sidewalks. And that runs from, the intersection at Severe by Tyndall Park and runs all the way north to North Street. So part of a longer range plan to connect the sidewalks so that there's more walking capability that's separate from the road itself. And that'll tie back into kind of the North Street project that I just mentioned a little bit ago. This sidewalk will terminate there, and that sidewalk, when that project comes through, there'll be sidewalks along it at the time of that. So ultimately, kind of, there's a long range goal that connects either with bike lanes, trails, or sidewalks to allow people to have alternative means of transportation that's not just cars. And that's a good way to get a lot of experience right now. Is provide, people who may not have the economic means to have a car, you're giving them a safe facility to get around town. So that 4th Street will help connect to that. It'll connect into the previously constructed bike lanes on Severe Street and help provide more access down to Tyndall Park and then across over to the school. But that's about everything that I have on my plate. If y'all have any questions.
I've got a question. It's not really pertaining to these projects, but when it is a street project. Redstone has got that project. Startup project. It's well underway. It's going to take several months. But I think it was a year-long project.
Question also, you guys completed that Millbrook Drive detention pond study, but I've not seen any results of that study and what the action from it is going to come back. Or it's starting out to be a bit very issue in public.
Yes, the biggest issue with the remediation plan, and I can kind of send you a copy, and we had the original study and then we met out there and went over it again. Biggest issue is that neither detention pond is actually adequately sized. The best option would be to join the detention ponds in some facet. But the problem is that one detention pond is this subdivision and the other, yeah. And so that's the biggest thing is, they both need a little bit more area, but when they get more area, they would encroach into each other. We looked at the possibility of, there was kind of some stuff that was not coming into the pond that was going into the crossing, the roadway crossing, that was actually just pushing more water out, not being retained. But the issue is if you put that into the detention pond, all it would do is fill it up quicker and then still hit the release here across the top and still go back into structure. So to sum it up, that if there could be some form of agreement between the two, I don't know how that structures, because I believe the capacity of it gets way outside my expertise, but the size of detention that's needed between the two subdivisions would require the land, both the land that they're going on instead of having to burn.
So I take it then joining the two is the best plan that you're seeing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. And that POA owns the upper portion. I believe they'd be more than happy to give that up because it has been a huge impossible to maintain that.
Right.
The high fees and everything that comes in. So what would be their step in order to give that up?
I would have to check with somebody a little bit more legal advice on that, just because when it comes to the transfer of land and maintenance, who's gonna, so that's another big thing is it looked like one of them was more
Well, and people should rest on that.
Absolutely.
Let us know. You can work out any kind of, people you can need to be contacted for this to happen.
Thank you.
Are these two retention ponds just built too small or back or built before we really regulated the size and needed the size?
A little bit of both. That's what, more, it's kind of a combination. The newer detention regulations require kind of, the outflow has to be less than what you're bringing in. Used to, it was a certain percentage, or, even then it was more or less a courtesy. But there's actually a lot more stricter regulations on how you detain water, what storm you gotta detain for. And it just all, and on top of it, the constructions weren't concurrent, they didn't happen at the same time, so even whenever one was built, I think there was still a little bit of available land that overflow went to, so it wasn't an issue until the other area got developed. Another contributing factor, which is it's problematic and can't really plan for, is just the amount of rainfall that we've got in recent years. And what constitutes as a 25-year storm now is not what the 25-year storm was 15, 20 years ago. I mean, I think in the state of Arkansas, I was at a conference, so it's back in the spring. And I think on average, we're receiving about 25% more rain here, like over the past 5 years, and a lot of stuff is actually designed. So it's kind of a combination of both. And then as the additional development came in, it changed the calculations of those detention ponds. So the detention pond may have been sized for phase 1 and 2 and 3, but then you build phase 4 and 5 in the neighborhood and you're sending more water there that it wasn't sized for to begin with. So kind of involves two factors.
Any further questions on any of these projects? Thank you very much for expertise. Discussion, do I have a motion to accept the report of the given? Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Any other business? Hearing none? Call this meeting adjourned.
No, we just gonna do the, you said, you love it. At 5:30, we're calling our commissions committee to order. We do have a forum. That's what we call our recognition of activities. When we say yes to our 40th of compliance, and we will start with our left and Alderman.
Jeff Ham, yes. Trevor Lyons, yes. Jeff Hart, yes.
Don Farmer, yes.
Toby Hirschauer, yes.
Bill Daughter, yes.
Evelyn Reed, yes. Anthony Chupola, yes.
Steve Brown, yes.
Right back, yes.
Next, we have the chair calls a motion for. Second. We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Next on our agenda, we have information from the.
We have nothing to report. Yes, we did. Oh. We, happen to be bringing forward a resolution reappointing Elton Gainer to the. Other than that. Fine.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next is information from the P and Z Commission. First on our agenda, we have an ordinance to rezone 2011 Watts Road from R1 to R5. This is, the property owner is Lance Larson. What he wants to do is build 3 quadplexes. And the purpose of this is to have more affordable housing. It's gonna be a 1-bedroom, one. Special. Next, we have ordinance to rezone 15228 I-30 Blue Heaven property from C3 to R5 to C3 only. And this is just the purpose of this. Some of the property is not, say, R5.
I'm confused on that. So all the other properties were this zoning at the same as the.
Some of C3 is one little part. It's that one little part. Next is ordinance to rezone 2319 Kelso Circle, R2 to C2. Next is the ordinance to rezone 825 North Main Street from R2 to C. There were this ordinance. Main Street. Next, we have the ordinance to rezone Silicon Heights Road from AG to C2. This is where Hope Consulting, on behalf of J. Cole Property owner, wants to rezone this property.
Where is this again?
On Silicon Heights. When he was talking, he said the purpose for this property that we make them, they don't have anything proposed right now, but he said it could be something for like a little gas station. The agriculture to the lunch. Discussion. Next, item is the orders to increase the rezone for this conditional use fee $60 to cover sign off. Ordinance, the rezone for conditional use notice requirements to utility details listing of requirements. This has been tabled to November. So we have Mr. Anthony here. We have other questions. These items has been tabled to November. Any questions from the public? No further questions for the please. Okay, we're gonna call the community service committee meeting to order. Thank you all for coming out this evening. At this time, we will recognize the attendees, and in doing so, we will also answer to the people of compliance with roll call, starting with
Frank Baptist, yes.
Steve Brown, yes.
and Spencer Paul, yes. Evelyn Reed, yes.
Bill Donner, yes.
Anthony Warrior, yes.
I'm Farmer, yes.
Judd Hart, yes.
Robert Lyons, yes.
Jeff Am, yes.
And we have four. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the September the 8th minutes.
So moved second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 5 is new business. We have liens and code compliance for the 2014 West Lakeview Drive cleanup, 3104 Level Lane, cleanup, 723 Richards, cleanup, 1714 Huntley Street is a cleanup, 1406 Highway 35. Question is turn it over to Mr.
So the 2014 West Lakeview, like I said, it's just ongoing. They did clean that up. Back, asking for clean, I mean, I can get things back. And why you get. But you know, for a lot of it. Also, 723 Benton Street. And 1715 Country. And then, 1406 hours 35, which is good news. Things on that.
Seeming like that questions. There are no questions. Entertain a motion to go forward to each of these properties in our next meeting.
Remote.
Second.
Motion is second, and these 5 items will be added to the agenda. We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, ordinance, prohibiting funding city limits of Benton, Arkansas, including the use of firearm and archery equipment, declared an emergency and for no purpose.
Talk about this, we had several complaints from people, hunting in the city, deer hunting in the city limits with a bow. And to my shock, I didn't know that it was legal to do that. So I asked our city attorney to look into it. This is his first draft of a ordinance to stop all hunting in the city limits. Now, to be honest about it, I've had some people call with concerns that they have acreage in the city where they're not against the gun hunting being illegal. They're against the bow hunting. Whole thing is to figure out how can we prevent someone standing right here by City Hall. We don't want someone shooting across this to get that deer. So the challenge is how do you do it within a reasonable thing? Out at exit 114, I know there's 500 acres out there. old houses above ground. But in the future, there's gonna be a lot of houses. So I asked Baxter to look into it. This is what it came up. So I've had both complaints against allowing people to do it and people that want it. So I'm just being honest with the council, presenting to try to see what you want to do from this point forward. I think Terry with the animal services has a statement or two about it also. So I did want to make you aware of it since it's been brought to my desk. Yeah.
There's an exception to the ordinance says the lawful defense of life or property, including pest control. Okay. So my thinking, here's, and I'm gonna give you an example. Mr. Donner is raising prized watermelons for the county fair. Okay? And an armadillo comes in there, eats his watermelon. Way I read it, he's able to use a firearm, to shoot the armadillo. So what I did was I posed that question to the city attorney to make sure about this exception. I said, does this allow a person to use a firearm to protect the life or property? And he told me that if a person were otherwise complying all applicable laws, this would not make it illegal to discharge a firearm in defense of life or property. It doesn't change any other law that make it illegal. So I think it is, we gotta have it. My concern is I just wanna not have any loopholes where I start getting calls, people is shooting rabbits or whatever and using an excuse I've protected my property because we have that now with people wanting to use firearms, shoot dogs. That's my only my.
And it is now illegal to discharge a firearm.
Yes. So.
Question. So if I own 12 acres out Silicon Heights or out,
And I've got deer on. I can't shoot that. To me, I can understand a gun because a bullet is a projectile that will go. But again, if I'm within center of my lane that I happen to own, and there's deer or rabbits or whatever else, again, the bow's not going to, for me, go as far, go into my neighbor's yard.
That's true. That's
Then,
understood.
that's where I have
Maybe
problem
some issues right here. You walk there, and time we don't do something, guy across the street and shoot that deer right. No matter how many houses around, the way the law reads now. So it's one of those situations where I don't, talk about, I don't know that there's a great solution unless you know how we formed this is not a legal determination for this, idea. How we formed an entertainment district, some years. Have a hunt, but it has to be specific, no houses within so many yards or, I don't know. Because some of these crossbows are shooting 1,200 feet per second. Very 200-300 yards.
I know from the South Market entrance to the animal shelter down to the electric gate. There is some big buck deer. The way it is right now, I could go down there and shoot one of them, and I'd be legal. And we need it.
With a bow.
With a
Not
bow,
a gun.
with a bow. We need to close that gap.
I think we need to study this in the meeting because there's so many different issues. I've got Kobe's telling my, if I see one, I'm gonna shoot it. Okay? I'll please chief, take me get. So, I don't know, keep my physical dog. I've also had a water box in my backyard that me and him went round and round, the black got it. I won't, I kill him with show every time I see the top. So there are times when you need to use guns. And I'm just gonna say, come get you. So I'm not gonna say. So I think we ought to go to the committee and talk about it, that's what, so that's what we're doing. It's just,
Yeah, and the big thing is, I don't mean to interrupt, but let's close, whatever we do, let's close the gap for the bow hunt. I don't wanna see, in my opinion, because I think you're gonna have problems. Down the road. I just think it needs to be off.
Right now, they can bow hunt at the park.
Let me ask this, I mean, obviously there's issues on both sides, but, the issue in terms of, discharging the road, where are the students? Certain part of the city or speak to what you guys do.
I know that the chief Hodges had to send some officers out to area the other day because maybe some city lawsuit, like they were complaining about look, yeah, the house and they asked them to turn because it's not illegal. in the city. So, talked to both neighbors and worked it out somehow where they faced the difference of like
You know, there's a lot of cities that have trouble with so many deer, too many deer in in their town. So all the accidents, eating all their flower gardens up. And some cities that allow both
in certain areas.
in certain areas of the city. So if we let our deer population increase, but maybe having accidents with deer, most of them will have that. And it's just about.
Just want to protect parks areas, want to protect certain areas, downtown areas. Deer can run downtown, but want someone to shoot across. Oh,
I mean, we can put something out that you're in the champion of all, so many feet of a roadblock, yeah. So that's how someone never access to it, but we think shoot. Certain districts, to access, but the city vendor cannot shoot, so, or whatever, so many feet of a house. Free.
I know the biggest problem over the years, people won't hunt it, killing deer has been over their side.
Good person, you know, in some cases, we all have stories. The one that I like to share right now, we have an individual in my ward where he was hunting of all things beaver. Discharged a firearm. But he said he could have used a bow, did not fire. Well, the city did not find him, but gave him the fish fine instead. The further fine was that he didn't apply for a permit. Had he applied, they would then not find him, but because of that, he wasn't. So, you know, we're talking about deer, and that's important to talk about. And I think we need to talk about other things besides just deer. There are other animals that people sometimes will hunt.
Whatever research y'all make me to do, I'm open.
Let's do this. Let's ask Mr. Parsons to go back and search this. City. Cause I just felt like everyone needed to discuss what they've heard, what they saw, what they felt.
And I would add to that, just that there seems to be some logical things like the park should be able to do it, or in the middle of your, if, yeah, whatever, your 5 acres that you have and you have a deer, there's not, all the way out there, and again, there's not a house within a certain range or whatever, then there needs to be, or do you get a permit? I don't know, but I think there could be some specific things that free up.
So. Don't have anything in the old business. Discussion. Other, we have the DCR or, development review committee report that you just look at and read. Unless somebody has a question. Else before this committee. So we're gonna call this meeting adjourned.